Hello, JBS viewers. I'm David Harris. This is Defending Israel. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to meet someone I found quite extraordinary. I hadn't met her before. She's a member of the Nassau County Board of Legislators, Nassau County, Long Island. And I thought that she was so interesting, her background was so unusual, that JBS viewers across the country should have the opportunity to meet her. May I introduce you to Mazi Pilip. Mazi, welcome to Defending Israel.
Thank you. Thank you, David, for having me.
Mazi, we have to begin with your background because it's so unusual for many American viewers, American Jewish viewers. Tell us where you were born and your journey that brought you from where you were born to where you went and ultimately to where you arrived here.
Yes, so I was born in Ethiopia in 1979 in a small village south of Addis Ababa, which is the capital of Ethiopia. In 1991, there was a civil war, and a lot of Ethiopian Jews moved from villages to come to Addis Ababa, to the capital of Ethiopia, which hoped to go one day to Israel. That dream came true May 24, 1991. Civil war took place in Ethiopia, and there was a lot of danger for so many Ethiopian Jews who were waiting to come to Israel. And Israel immediately contacted the United States of America, and together they decided to negotiate for a ceasefire between the current government in Ethiopia and then the robbers who were trying to get the control in Ethiopia. So they both agreed for a 36-hour ceasefire and to allow the Ethiopian Jew to leave Ethiopia. So that morning, I remember we wake up in the morning, and early in the morning, somebody knocked on the door and told us we have to leave everything behind and we have to start to walk to Ethiopian, to Israeli embassy. It was a total chaos. The government of Ethiopia left the country. Soldiers were everywhere, and people were very confused, and thousands of us were waiting in front of the gate of Israeli embassy. And after hours and hours and hours, we made it home, and we arrived in Israel. That was a very historical time.
Mazi, let's focus on this for just a moment, because I'm not sure how many of our viewers really understand the origin of the Jewish community in Ethiopia, or the centrality of Jerusalem, Zion, to Ethiopian Jews. I myself was in Ethiopia in the 1980s. I was in Gondar province. I visited some of the Jewish villages, and I saw this for myself. It was eye-opening. It was remarkable. But Israel was not just another country for Ethiopian Jews. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, it was a great place. It was a dream for many of our grandparents to arrive to Jerusalem. It was a place that, in early age, they told us one day we were going to go to Jerusalem. So for generation to generation, my people were waiting to make Aliyah, to come to Israel. Until one of the biggest operations before Operation Solomon was Operation Moses, when so many Ethiopian Jews left from the villages to Sudan by walking months and after months, and they were waiting at the refugee camp in Sudan for months and months, just because they had the hope to come to Israel, to go to Jerusalem. That was the first operation. And the second one was, as I said, 1991, Operation Solomon, that I was part of that operation.
And viewers need to understand that in walking, literally walking and carrying the elderly on the backs of the younger people, you were risking your lives. And arrived in Sudan, which was in many ways a very hostile country. So many Ethiopian Jews, as I recall, actually perished. They died en route in trying to fulfill their dream of going to Israel. But your family survived, and from Sudan were able to go to Israel?
Yes, so some of my family members came through that aliyah, through Sudan. Thanks God they were all natives. Mine was a different one, as I said. It's just with the plane. We didn't have to walk months and months. But again, it was a dream, and a blind dream. Like people blindly had the faith and the belief they have to end up in Jerusalem and start to walk with their children, babies, and elderly, and just walking when you didn't even allow to leave Ethiopia. So if the government will hold you, catch you, you're in trouble. And then you have the Sudanese on the other side. And unfortunately, big fight the Ethiopians take for that aliyah. That is the true Zionists, to be honest. You know, we're talking about 1986, 85. It wasn't a long time ago.
So, Mazi, you arrived in Israel, you grew up in Israel, you served in the army, you went to university, you eventually married, you met your future husband. Tell us about the Israel chapter of your life before we come to the American piece.
Yes. So the dream came true. I arrived, I remember the first few minutes when we landed. It was a jumbo military jet, no seats, no nothing. And one of the first things I remember as a 12 years old, when I saw my grandparents, my grandmother and my parents sitting the ground and crying. As a little child, I did the same thing. And I remember seeing soldiers sitting in there, helping us with water, some food, some welcoming. And it was the first time I saw a female soldier that really touched my eye and my heart. And when I finished high school, the first thing I wanted to do is to join the Israeli army. When I came to my husband and my dad, and I told him, Dad, I'm joining the army, and he told me, no way, you're too little, too skinny, you cannot be able to survive. And in Ethiopian culture, when your parents talking to you, you listen, you don't say something different than what they believe. And he couldn't believe how determined I was when I said, yes, I'm joining. And he realized there's no other way to stop me. And when I come back after the training, I have to tell you, he was so proud.
And you were actually a parachutist?
No, I was in charge of all the guns and the paratrooper unit.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that definitely I had to handle with guns.
Mazi, I have to ask the question because I'm sure it's on the minds of many viewers. How do you react when you hear, especially in the United States, but elsewhere, Israel is a racist country, Israel's an apartheid country. Your family came from Africa. Israel went to enormous lengths to help rescue you under very difficult circumstances and bring you to Israel to start a new life. What's your reaction when you hear those accusations?
I feel ashamed because those people, they don't really know what Israel is about, okay? As a person who grew up and got so many opportunities to grow, going to school there and getting all the help that the Israeli government provided me and other Ethiopian students and the help that my parents received, it was big. That's what allowed us for me to even finish my army, to do my first degree and did my master's degree in diplomacy and security. And everything was paid by the Israeli government. And the reason why they did this because you realize we are coming from a very undeveloped country and we didn't have the tools or the knowledge that other people who came from other parts of the world to integrate to the Israeli society. So by providing that education and that scholarship, it really helped us to achieve our dreams. And when I went even to the school, in Haifa University, there was a lot of Arab Muslim students. 3 of them were my friends, and we were taking the same courses, and they had the same rights like anybody else. As a matter of fact, Israel is helping for the underprivileged community because it's trying to lift everybody up to education. So to call Israel apartheid country and a racist country is absolutely wrong. And I am encouraging people to learn and to get to know the beautiful Israel.
So you are a proud Jew, you're a proud Israeli, you're a proud Zionist. I can see the Star of David that you're wearing around your neck. How did you end up in the United States?
That's sometimes I'm asking myself that. So for my family, to come to Israel, that was a dream. And to be honest, I was very involved when I was in school, and I really was planning my future in Israel until my husband, who was born in Ukraine, grew up in the US, came to study medicine and Haifa in Technion University. Study med, and he was a great guy. And from the beginning, he told me, like, he's there for 3 years to finish medical school, and he has to go back, which was very hard for me. Again, I never planned to leave Israel. I love Israel. I love the culture. I got so comfortable, to go to school, to study their ideas, and to get your education. And I did it. And then I had to relocate myself, which was very hard. But again, because of him, because of my husband. And I moved to New York about 17 years ago, which was very hard. For my family, it was very hard. For me, it was very hard at the beginning. But I found my home, my second home again here, in New York, in Long Island. It's a beautiful community.
Are you the first elected official in the United States born in Ethiopia of Jewish family?
I think so, yes.
In the entire country?
I think so, yes.
So now you have to help us understand. You arrived in the United States with your husband, a doctor, and some years later you enter politics, which is not always the case for new immigrants. And now, recently you were just re-elected with, I think, 60% of the vote, which any politician in the country would envy, 60% of the vote. How did you get into politics?
Yeah, so as a child, as I said, even in Israel, I was very, very much involved. I'm this kind of person who, if I don't like something from outside, I like to learn and I like to be involved. And when I moved to Great Neck, I was involved in in the local politics. I mean, I'm telling you about helping others to get elected as a mayor in Great Neck. And about 2 years ago, a lot was happening around our country. It was a conflict between Gaza and Israel that started. And my son wanted a Star of David necklace for his bar mitzvah. And I wasn't sure if that's the right time to give it to him. And the fact that I had to think twice about it made me very uncomfortable. And I said, how I can be able to raise my entire children if I don't feel comfortable giving my son his bar mitzvah gift, which is Star of David necklace. And at that moment, I realized, it's okay to feel this way. And the way to make change is to be involved. And when the Republican Party came to Great Neck and they were trying to look for candidates, they approached the local mayor and the local leaders. And they gave my name to them. And I met the GOP, the chairman of the GOP in Nassau County. And he was very impressed by my story. And he saw I was very motivated. And I felt, it's going to be a great idea to be involved and to be the voice for my people.
So, Mazi, if I recall correctly, you're one of 19 legislators for Nassau County, which has a population of just about 1.5 million people on Long Island, just close to New York City. Do you have any opportunities dealing with local politics to speak about your connection to Israel or explain the U.S.-Israel relationship or what Israel has done for you as a Jew born in Africa? Or is it all and only about property taxes and zoning and other local issues?
It's both. Because again, I am Ethiopian Israeli for my ideas of my story is more interesting than looks like. So people will call me for different speaking engagement. They would like to hear from me about growing up in Ethiopia and growing up in Israel, serving in Israeli defense force. And so I was able to really to talk about Israel and telling the story of Israel is not just about Ashkenazi Jew. Israel is about all the colors. We are coming from different parts of the world and we all look different. But yet there is a home called Israel that everybody is welcome and everybody feels very comfortable and welcome to live in Israel. So it's other than dealing with local issues of helping the residents here in Nassau County, I think being who I am, it gave me the opportunity to tell more than being a Nassau County legislator, and throughout my story, to connect and give some knowledge to others who never heard about Ethiopian Jews or living or anything like this. So,
Mazi, where were you on October 7th when you first heard the news of what happened?
So I was home. I'm Shomer Shabbat. I mean, I don't drive on Shabbat. My campaign started about 3 months ago, like 3 months before the October 7th. And I had to go from synagogue to synagogue and talk about the upcoming local election, how to motivate people and to tell people how important to be involved. So that was one of Shabbat that I had to walk about like 1 hour to get to one of the synagogues there. And my colleague, who I work with, came to me in the morning and telling me, no, Israel is under attack. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, no, Israel is under attack. We have a lot of people who dead, and there is hostages, and it's unbelievable what's happening. And my first reaction was just to scream. I screamed to my husband and I told him, please contact family in Israel. And my kids jumped in and they were like so confused. And it was a moment of very terrifying moment of we just don't believe this is happening. I decided to walk to the synagogue because I knew so many of them Shomer Shabbat or Shomer Hag, they have a Simchat Torah, like Shemini Atzeret. So I know nobody really have a clue what's going on. So I found myself running from synagogue to synagogue, from synagogue to synagogue, informing people that that happened on Israel's ruling. And unfortunately, we lost a lot of people over this moment. And I was afraid like this in my life.
Mazi, since October 7th, have you run into people who don't believe the story of what happened on October 7th, or who question it, or who defend what happened on October 7th, as we've seen elsewhere, or who are pulling down the posters of the kidnapped victims that have been placed on lamp poles and street poles around? Have you had any of those moments? And if so, how did you handle them?
Thankfully, in Nassau County, so many American people were very, very much understanding what happened and felt our pain. And they were accommodating our pain, really. But the issue of explaining what really took place even got bigger with myself, and I felt it's not enough just to speak with Nassau people. I think the story has to come out. And I decided to watch the videos. It was horrible videos, but and there's some people chose not to watch it. Even my own sister and Israel refused to watch it because it was too emotional. But I decided to watch these videos, and it was a hard moment. And even though I knew it was going to be a nightmare for me, but I also knew if I'm not going to watch it, if I'm not going to speak about it, who else going to do it? And since then, I found myself speaking about this issue around everywhere. Any opportunity with social media, it was speaking engagement with everyone. I would go and I would talk and tell how personal this attack on Israel and so many of Americans do, and how unacceptable it is that so many civilians got killed and raped and the babies were born. Things that it's just hard to believe took place on October 7th. And I want people to know that. And the hardest part, to be honest, is to see those rallies of those groups supporting a terrorist organization and blaming Israel and calling the activities. That is the hardest thing to see. When we're supposed to be the ones who need the comfort from the people understanding our pain, now we are blamed that Israel is taking a war crime.
No, so well said. Mazi, I know you went to the mass rally in Washington on November the 14th. I'd love to hear your impressions of the rally, but let me ask one more question. Had you been asked to speak at that rally, and I suspect as you're better known in the country, you're going to be asked to speak at those national rallies in the future, mark my words, but had you been given a couple of minutes to speak to those nearly 300,000 people, what would your message have been?
My message would have been to my brothers and sisters in Israel that we, the American people, will continue to support Israel, and they are not alone. And then my message to my Jewish brothers and sisters in this country, and especially to the youth and the students, that we have to continue to be proud and loud and take a fear out of our mind, and we have to stand up for what's good for us, for our rights. I don't like it, the fact so many colleges allowing hate speech and intimidating our students. I feel the most terrible to see that, and I feel the pain of those students. So my message for the nation would be, we are not going to stay silent when it comes to anti-Semitism, and we are not okay that when the Jewish community attacks, everybody's quiet about it. Every group in this beautiful country, right is protected. Nobody's going to call guys to the Black people, guys to LBGT or the LB. Nobody will call those things, and if somebody will do it, everybody will stand to protect them. But yet, I see those signs out there, and it's kind of okay because it's covered under the umbrella of freedom of speech. That is very bad, and I am telling you, something has to be changed because that's not acceptable.
So we were both there, although we didn't see each other at the rally, but we both saw that image of the leaders of the Senate and the House, Republicans and Democrats standing together, hand in hand, saying together, in a bipartisan fashion, this country supports Israel. Do you see that same bipartisan unity regarding Israel in Nassau County where you work?
Yes, for the most part, absolutely. I think everybody. I didn't see anybody who said anything, negative about Israel. Thank God. At the rallies, I see Republicans and Democrats coming and supporting Israel, and I see that in the local level and the national level, which is amazing. Israel is our ally, and we should be very much appreciate that country because the war that Israel is facing right now is not just about protecting the Jewish people. It's, to be honest, protecting the rest of the nation from a terrorist organization and freeing the Palestinians from a terrorist organization. That's what Israel is trying to do, and the world should appreciate that and understand that Israel was the victim here, and Israel has the obligation to protect its own people.
Mazi, we only have a couple of minutes left. It seems to me that you would be the worst nightmare of the woke crowd on campuses, for example, who want to talk about occupation and decolonization and resistance and racism. These are all their buzzwords. And then you come along, and if you were able to meet them at Columbia University or NYU or another of the universities where this has exploded, what would you say to them face to face?
Shame on them. Shame on them by not checking the facts, okay? By not going researching, understanding the problem. Many of them, they don't even know who they are supporting. They're supporting a terrorist organization, okay? Hamas, like ISIS, the same thing. And shame on them when they took some of them, the American flag, down last week, okay? It's a shame on them because they are benefiting from this beautiful country and if they don't have respect to this country, I'm sorry, maybe they are in the wrong country. So I will tell them this, get the facts, understand. The Jewish people, they are not against the Palestinian people. They are not against the Muslim people. All our rallies are peaceful rallies, okay? Peaceful rallies. Nobody attacking, nobody addressing. But yes, the world scene, the other side are very violent, very violent. And this has to stop. And that's not, they are choosing to be in the wrong side of the history. And my message to them, the better stop harassing our Jewish students.
I hope more and more student groups becoming aware of you, Mazi, will invite you to make that case on the campuses because we need to hear your voice. Just before we end, I'm sure there's one more question on viewers' minds. Are there still Jews left in Ethiopia? If so, how many? And is there aim to stay in Ethiopia or also to follow your path and make Aliyah to Israel?
To be honest, I don't know the exact number. I believe some may be still left and they're trying to come in to unite with the rest of their families in Israel. I don't know the exact number.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mazi, for joining us. JBS viewers, ladies and gentlemen, this is David Harris defending Israel. You've just met Mazi Pilip, and I suspect in the years ahead you'll be seeing more of her, and you'll be able to say that you saw and heard her eloquence, her passion, her courage, her clarity for the first time right here on this show. Mazi, thank you so much and best of luck to you.
Thank you, David, for having me.
Am Yisrael Chai.
Am Yisrael Chai.
Bye-bye.